wabarakatuh. Today, as we continue with the hadith lesson, we will do something differently than the other hadiths or quotes that we were discussing in these series of lessons, but we will discuss today a hadith of Prophet Muhammad specifically about the end of times. The context of this hadith is narrated by Hudayfa ibn Usayd al-Aqari. In the context of this hadith, the Prophet Muhammad saw that his companions were sitting down with each other discussing what they learned from Prophet Muhammad about the end of times. He didn't know at the beginning, but when he asked them, they said, "We are discussing the end of times." And he told them, he gave them a prophecy that he stated it as a promise that the end of times, the end of this world as we know it, will not begin, or this world will not end before 10 things happen. And Prophet Muhammad mentioned 10 things, which are the coming of the Dajjal, or also known as the Antichrist, the return of Isa ibn Maryam, which Christians believe the return of Jesus Christ, but we believe in it differently. The coming of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, two tribes, that the sun would appear from the west instead of the east. A smoke that would come out as fog that will be a winter covering most of the earth. The Dabba coming of a strange creature that people don't know, and 3 earthquakes would happen. An earthquake in the east, one in the west, and one in the Arab Peninsula, and the last one would be a fire that erupts from Yemen, which people believe now would be a volcano in Aden, that would push people forward into the place that they would die in. And stuff about the end of the hour, or people warning that this world is going to end, or this universe is going to end in multiple ways, have been happening, or their prophecies have been false for like the past 100 years or something. Even in the past month, the Sheikh mentioned one guy named Ibn Noah. He told people that he's the new embodiment of Prophet Noah, and there is another flood that is going to happen. It's going to erase humanity, and they should run with him to the ships that he had. It turns out he was just reporting random fishermen ships. He didn't even build any of them, and he just took donations from most of the people, but he did use it good. He bought a Maybach Mercedes, good taste. Prophet Muhammad stated these prophecies as it is definite that the world will not end unless these prophecies appear. But people, including wizards, sorcerers, witches, have been telling people and scamming them out of their money for any prophecy that they can find as if this world is going to end. Many of them have been stuff like the world is going to end in 2012. I don't know, NASA said Planet X is going to hit Earth and we're all going to die. People believe that the pandemic in 2020 was going to end all of humanity. And earlier this month, also another priest in Africa told people that Jesus is going to come back in like December 5th. And everyone believed him, and they started selling, even here in the US, they started selling their houses for really cheap, for like $100 or something. After they bought it, I would not say they were true. We would also mention a verse from Surah Al-An'am, which is verse number 158, talking about the major signs or the signs at the final hour for the end of the world. Allah says in Surah Al-An'am, "Are they awaiting the coming of the angels or your Lord himself, or some of your Lord's major signs? On the day that your Lord's signs arrive, belief will not benefit those who did not believe earlier, or those who did no good through their faith. Say, keep waiting, we are to wait." In another translation, we are waiting too. Well, Allah mentioned in this verse is something named major signs. The major signs is what we just mentioned in this hadith, the 10 signs or the 10 prophecies that Prophet Muhammad promised have to appear before the end of times come, or before the end of this world happen. But as there are major signs, there are also minor signs that the companions of Prophet Muhammad have narrated. They've been narrated in hadiths in the Quran, and believing in the minor signs and the major signs is as believing in Allah Azza wa Jalla. It is something that Allah Azza wa Jalla has promised us, so we have to believe in it. Some of the minor signs include stuff that would appear with the major signs. For example, one of them is the appearing of the Mahdi. Right after it, the Dajjal or the Antichrist is going to come out, and right after it, Prophet Isa ibn Maryam is going to return to earth, but not as a prophet, as a leader that would rule us. And right after it, Ya'juj and Ma'juj. What Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned in Surah Al-An'am in verse number 158 is that there are major signs that people are awaiting to come, but when they come, their belief wouldn't benefit them.
because they didn't believe when Allah Azza wa Jal gave them the chance. And as there are major signs that Allah Azza wa Jal and Prophet Muhammad have told us about, there are also minor signs. But Prophet Muhammad didn't bind it, or he didn't give us a promise that the minor signs have to appear first, or they have to be finished first before the major signs appear after them. Some of them are going to happen around the same time frame, they're going to happen together, and some minor signs are going to appear, or they're going to happen after the major signs have already ended. So Prophet Muhammad did not give us a promise when they are going to appear, but the majority or most of the minor signs have already appeared. And an example of them that haven't appeared yet is, for example, the coming of the Mahdi, who would rule the Muslims before Isa ibn Maryam comes back to earth, not as a prophet, but as someone who would rule us. And also around the same time frame, the Dajjal would come out, also known as the Antichrist. And after a couple of years after it, Ya'juj and Ma'juj would come out. All of them are going to happen around the same decade. They're not that far apart.